Yep, okay, so the face cam stream is now live, and so is the main stream, so now both streams. Face cam stream just fell. Oh, this video already has a like. That always messes with me. Oh, yo, Kirby, welcome to the stream. Okay, it doesn't mess with me when I know that someone's watching. It's less of a mess with. The Scavenger says, greetings and salutations. Yo, Scavenger, welcome. It's been a minute since I've seen Scavenger. Also, 2 likes? 2 likes? I haven't even said anything relevant yet. Right now I'm getting the live chats up for both of these streams because I feel like this is going to be a very interesting conversation, and I would like to talk with you all and see what your thoughts are about this topic. 3 likes? Nani? Again, the actual video hasn't really hit yet. So I'm very intrigued by the concept of 3 likes. The Scavenger says, sorry I have not been on. I've been busy with school. No problem, Scavenger. I recently had midterms, so I'm totally with you. Like, same page on, like, having a lot of school. That's why there haven't been a lot of streams recently. I've been trying to do my best with streams. I wish I could have streamed being at my mom's house and playing Dead or Alive. My mom does not play fighting games, but she challenged me to Dead or Alive, and it was one of the very rare times I've heard my mom call me a bitch. And by rare times, I mean it's never happened before, except when we played Dead or Alive. Kirby said pineapples in the live chat for the other stream, so that would be the stream where you guys can actually see the images I'll be showing on screen from Ben10. Godzilla Tale said hi. Torvor said, yo, what's up? Godzilla Tale said, I watched some Ben10. What does he do again? He turns into something. Yeah, you know my boy turns into them aliens. It's good to see Godzilla Tales. It's good to see Kirby. Good to see Torvor. Good to see Scavenger. Kirby said, holy shit, your mom called you a bitch. Hey, when you get in the zone, you get in the zone. Mom grabbed the controller. She said, hold on. I just need to figure out what button to press. And, like, she meant literal one button. She's like, I'm just gonna I'm gonna find one button and just press it over and over again. It was really interesting. We played a bunch of games. It was her and one of her friends. And we played, like, 35 games, and I lost 5 games. Like, Godzilla Tale said, I literally have a cute giant dog. And he says he likes the dog alien. So you really like, Wild Mutt from the original series. Godzilla Tale says, it's a dragon. Kirby said, she said, bitch, get over here, let me kick your ass. Kirby's really getting into the idea. I got into it too. The idea of my mom saying, bitch. Because it was crazy. She got really into it. She's never enjoyed a fighting game. Professor Trevin said, Toon Force powers. When Professor Trevin wants us to actually talk about what the video's about. Scavenger said Wrath is the best alien. Wrath is pretty cool. I actually want to do a video about who would win in a fight, Wrath versus Kickenhawk. But that will be a whole other thing. Right now, let's talk about Toon Force and what the Toon Force is. And I guess we'll talk a little bit about Ben10 in case someone's watching this video for some reason and has no idea who Ben10 is. So, Ben10 is a series about a 10-year-old boy who finds a... Hold on. I just realized I have to click between the chats, and that's garbage. Let me set it up where I can see all the chats at once, so that way I can react to people in time. So don't worry. We're about to get into the nitty-gritty, but let me get all these chats up. I don't want to be missing chat for no reason. So let's see. Godzilla Tale said, yeah, meh, to superhero. Scavenger said, what's up? Greetings and salutations. Godzilla said, Ben Toon, Benny Tinny. Let's see. Professor Trevin said, Heat Blast was fucking king. Yo, Heat Blast. Heat Blast is one of my faves, no lie. But there are a lot, and I mean a lot of really good Ben 10 aliens who get slept on. But don't worry, we'll get there. We'll get there with all of these topics. But really our main topic in a few moments. Let's see, I'm trying to get this window out my face so I can easily get over here. Professor Trevin said, over 10,000! Yo, let's see. Scavenger said, my boy Swampfire would kill Heat Blast. Fuck, that'll be another video that I'll do. Main. Then Godzilla Tales said hashtag Wildmutt. Actually, yeah, this is a really good time. Tell me what kind of videos you would like me to do for this new series, Ben10Tier. Professor Trevenant said Ben 10,000 episodes are my fave. They are pretty good, especially when we get into Omniverse, where we start getting quite a few more of them. Quite a few. Considering we get the Time War and the multiverse stuff happens. Like, if you didn't watch Omniverse, and you're like, man, Ben 10 had so much more potential, then you just missed out on a lot of the potential because you didn't watch it. Omniverse was fucking great. So let's see. The only chat I don't currently have up on my screen right now is Discord. So I'm going to get Discord up real quick, because I know people are on all the platforms, so I want to make sure that I hit up people on all the platforms. Let's see, the Scavenger said, do Alien versus Alien vids. I will. I actually am planning to. But what Alien versus Aliens would you guys, and gals, not assuming gender, like to see? Dun, dun, doo, doo. Godzilla Tales said, I know one, DuckTales. Got him. I heard the new DuckTales cartoon is actually really great. I just haven't had a chance to watch it. Haven't had a chance. I haven't looked it up. The Scavenger said Cannonbolt versus Accelerate. Yo, the Scavenger, are you in our Discord? I just realized if everyone puts stuff into the into the live chat, I'm not gonna be able to remember everything. Also, I love how Godzilla Tales said woohoo, dun, dun, dun. It did like the DuckTales sound. Professor Trevenant said, but that's where the new series lacks. The history/continuity we love is just gone. And Ben 10 was hugely proud of his history back in the last series. We're getting a lot of it back. We're getting, you know, they're recreating a lot of stuff, and they're changing a lot of things. And I find that really interesting. That's part of the adventure. Scavenger said Forearms versus Humongosaur. What a fucking stomp out. I don't. Some of these I hear, and I go, what? Like, wouldn't one person clearly win? But I'll look deeper into it. The Scavenger said, I hate the new Swamp Fire design. I was pissed because I thought it was a new alien entirely. Like, I wasn't thinking it. I saw it and I was like, oh man, I wonder what this guy's gonna be, right? And then it's just fucking Stinkfly with like Beast Boy's voice and a new humanoid design. Don't worry, we will get into the thing. Professor Trevenant said, so it's actually being a reboot. Yes. Yes, it is. It is actually a reboot, straight up. Through and through. A reboot. The Scavenger said, same, dude. My boy Godzilla Tales is going hard with the DuckTales. Okay, let's see. So, we're almost there. So now I have a really scrunched up Discord on the screen as well. So now I can see everything. Professor Trevin is talking about Dual Links. This is a good time for me to jump in. Okay, hello everyone. Let's talk about Ben 10, since that's why we're here. So Ben 10 is a series that follows a young boy who's about 10 years old going on summer vacation, who finds a device that allows him to transform into 10 different alien heroes, and over time he gains additional heroes that he adds to his device, which is a watch-like device called the Omnitrix, and he fights off against villains and aliens alike, essentially becoming a superhero as he grows older. There have been multiple series. There's the Ben 10 original series that follows him as a 10-year-old child, and then I think he becomes 11 in the original series at a certain point. Then we hit up Ben 10 Alien Force, which has a time skip in which Ben becomes 15. He hasn't worn the Omnitrix for a while, and he gets the Omnitrix back. It reconfigures to his older body, and he gets a new set of aliens, and he fights off against an alien invasion. Then we get Ben 10 Ultimate Alien. He gets a brand new device called the Ultimatrix that allows him to transform into superpowered, evolved versions of his aliens. And he fights off against a variety of foes in that. Also, a big thing in Ultimate Alien is that the world learns that Ben 10 has been all of these aliens and that he's a superhero. So it goes through him having to deal with a superhero double life that's not a double life. He's more Tony Stark, where like everyone knows who Ben 10 is. And then you get into Omniverse, which is just it's so fucking great. So by this time in Omniverse, Ben is like 16 or so. He kind of becomes 16 or so in Ultimate Alien, and it carries over in Omniverse. And in that series, he ends up getting a partner. He joins a space police force called the Plumbers, which again, he kind of joined the space police force thing back in Ultimate Alien and dabbled around with them in Alien Force and shit like that. But it becomes a bigger deal in Omniverse. So he gets a new partner. He goes on a bunch of adventures. The multiverse stuff gets introduced. Time travel. They have flashbacks to 11-year-old Ben. And the continuity kind of retcons a little bit. It's really interesting. But now, after all these series, we're at the Ben 10 reboot. So we go all the way back to where Ben was 10. And we're starting back, and none of the stuff you remember from before is quite how it was. Even Ben's original 10 aliens have changed up. But there's a really big difference that's introduced in the 26th episode of the Ben 10 reboot, entitled Zingo. That's Xingo. Okay, and that's where we're really trying to get at. In the Ben 10 reboot episode, Zingo, Ben Tennyson, as shown in this image, gains the ability of Toon Force. And Toon Force is essentially the ability to manipulate reality through gags. And if you're trying to wrap your head around it, think about Looney Tunes. The general powers of Looney Tune characters are Toon Force. Painting a hole on a wall and it becomes an actual hole that you can travel through, that's Toon Force. Picking up a hole off the ground and placing it somewhere else, that's Toon Force. Reaching behind your back and pulling whatever you want from behind your back, that's Toon Force. You pull out a paintbrush, and because you're in a cartoon, you can just paint things into reality. Or you pull out a pencil with an eraser, and you just erase shit. That's Toon Force. So these kooky-ass, crazy Bugs Bunny abilities were introduced into Ben 10 continuity in the episode Zingo. And I'll go over the episode a little bit, and I'll talk about some of the implications of the episode and how much more powerful Ben 10 is with the addition of Toon Force. So Kirby said portable holes and magic satchels and things like that. Yes, very much so. So if you look at my boy, right, he's actually using Toon Force in this scene by accident. He just kind of is, like, expressing himself, but as he does, his mouth kind of, like, turns into a horn, and his hands, like, separate in his arms and shit, and his head is over-exaggerated to the point where it's just giant. But that's not just, like, the reboot art style. This isn't an animation fuck. This is, like, Toon Force in action. And Ben being able to utilize Toon Force is really interesting. Now let me give you a little bit of context for this episode and why is it that Ben has access to Toon Force. So if we go over to this scene right here, Ben is watching his favorite cartoon show, Zingo, which is essentially like a Looney Tunes equivalent for the Ben 10 universe. And he decides he's going to upgrade his television so he can watch it in high definition. So to do that, he becomes a satellite dish that's connected to his TV so that he's able to watch it at the highest quality possible. So a lightning strike hits the satellite dish, and once it strikes the dish, it causes Upgrade to merge our realities over, and the television kind of becomes a gateway to our world for people who are in the cartoon world. And this allows for Zingo, the cartoon character Ben was watching on the TV, to pop in to Ben's reality. Now, Kirby, in response to the image I showed earlier, said his head is detached from his body. Scavenger said, "This is why this new Ben is not canon to me," which I think is really interesting, that you say that, like, this is why this Ben 10 is not canon to me, because the original series did really, really similar shit. Okay, So if you guys remember that one episode where Ben got pulled into the Sumo Slammers video game from the original series, if you watch the Ben 10 original series, that was essentially Ben uses upgrade to upgrade like Gwen's laptop, I think. It's something like that. Like Gwen's laptop is how they're playing the video game. I don't think it was on a television because they're in like the RV, but I could be wrong. Someone can fact check me. So it's the same situation where they get hit by lightning while upgrade is like on a device that's playing a game, and then instead of the stuff from the game coming out, Ben and Gwen get sucked into the video game. So it's already established that like Ben as upgrade plus something else plus lightning equals like reality mixing. In other words, if Ben was to turn into upgrade and overshadow like an arcade cabinet or something, right? Because upgrade's ability is that he can like merge himself with technology. Let's say he merged himself with the Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet, and then that arcade cabinet got shot by lightning. Boom. Either Liu Kang like kicks himself like out of the arcade machine, or Ben gets sucked into the world of Mortal Kombat. You know, one of those things would happen. Like that's something that's been shown in the original series, and they just kind of brought that over to the reboot series. So it's one of those things where if someone didn't see that episode from the original series, they'd be like, man, this is really ridiculous and dumb. But it really just used the same rules that were established from the original series to make it make sense here. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't break anything that they hadn't done before. Professor Trevness said, wow, that's really stupid. I'm not watching a bad Ben 10 reboot trying to be Deadpool with Looney Tune powers. That's just wow. I'm glad I gave up. Professor Trevness said, was grounded was like I could find a damn alien watch. Wow, I'm sad to have that in any Ben 10 series. Godzilla Tales said, King Ghidorah would be a good crossover. Kirby said, pull him into the Doom game. Godzilla Tales said, how about Pokemon? Gotta catch 'em all. With all the Pokemon hype that's going around, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, they tried to do a Pokemon thing with the whole reality mix. Oh, Godzilla Tales said DuckTales and Ben 10 would be a good crossover. It'd be interesting, and we know how it would work, because all they have to do is say that DuckTales is a show in Ben 10's universe, and then do the whole upgrade lightning thing. And then either Ben could go into their world or vice versa. Scavenger said, this is why this new Ben 10 is not canon to me, but they made it look more realistic and not as stupid looking. Let's see. So, jumping back into it real quick. So, Zingo has a variety of Toon Force abilities, and he fights off against Ben. At a certain point, Ben turns into forearms, and he grabs Zingo in his hands. And when he grabs Zingo, the two of them are shot by a bolt of lightning. And when they're shot by the bolt of lightning, the Omnitrix gets this green lightning around it, and Ben suddenly develops Toon Force abilities from that. So essentially, Ben holding Zingo plus lightning equals Ben gaining Zingo's abilities. So it's not that Ben gained Zingo as a form in the Omnitrix, but it's more that Ben himself now has Zingo powers. Professor Trevin said, no, just no. This is a Dr. Animal mind memory serrator. That episode can't be reality. Trevenant said, Glenn, come save us, stink brain. Yo. It's very interesting that they decided to, like, make this an episode, because it has a lot of implications. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Ben having Toon Force abilities may be actually really cool for Ben, because in a lot of situations, Ben relies on his Omnitrix to be able to use powers. But if he has powers himself, then he'll be able to defend himself even when he's not transformed. The Scavenger said, Ben never had Toon Force powers, that is why this is not canon to me. It kind of used rules from earlier continuity to make it work. So it's, I don't know, like, it doesn't, if it had happened in the original series, they would have already set a precedent for, like, this kind of thing to be possible. Kirby said he better not encounter Dip, Nice Who Framed Roger Rabbit reference. Professor Trevin said, no, give him a out. Ben needs to think on his feet. That's when he is at his best. I do agree that Ben thinking on his feet is, like, a really big part of his character, and it's part of, like, what makes Ben Ben. I'm not gonna lie. But if you think it's broken for Ben to have Toon Force, like, gag reality manipulation bullshit powers, then it's even crazier that it extends to his aliens. So Ben turns into Heat Blast, and Heat Blast also has Toon Force. So Ben not only gained Toon Force abilities via the Omnitrix having that, like, it's more or less an upgrade. It's not a malfunction to suddenly have new powers for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, that just made him better all around. So now all of Ben's aliens presumably also have Toon Force. All of them. And that's pretty insane. So as you can see here, Heat Blast can just casually roll his head, like, down his own arm. And, like, just crazy shit like that. Because that's the kind of thing that Toon Force allows you to do. The Scavenger said they should have just given him a new form to give him Toon Force. That would be more canon to me. Let's see. Professor Trevenant said, no, it's a glitch caused by static force. So you feel that because they showed the green lightning, that it's just a glitch in the Omnitrix, and it's not like a... It's not an official upgrade. Like, I understand that. Like, it's not the idea that Azimuth came down and he edited the Omnitrix kind of thing. It is something that the Omnitrix wasn't originally supposed to do. But, I mean, it's extending farther than just, like, the Omnitrix doing something that it normally does but weird. It's more like the Omnitrix is doing something that it just really can't do in general. Professor Trevin said, how many times did it malfunction when he was 10? There are a lot of Omnitrix malfunctions that have occurred over time. So, let's see. Professor Trevin said, I counted at least 12 times in the series. You are not wrong. The Omnitrix malfunctions quite often. But I do feel like this is really different from a malfunction. Because normally an Omnitrix malfunction would be like, oh, Ben is stuck as an alien form. Just like the timer malfunctioned. Yo, Zolex, welcome to the stream. Or it would be, oh, Ben can't control him transforming. So it's like the interface for, like, controlling what you turn into and your timer malfunctions. You know, a lot of the malfunctions are something that the watch normally does is not working correctly. Where this isn't like your normal malfunction, because it's not the watch not working as it normally should to do things. It's just a new feature entirely. It's not like a new form. It's like every form, including Ben, has a power. Chapatos Chappy said, Hola, Feo Negro. Hello, Chapatos Chappy. Welcome to the stream. Right now we are talking about Ben10, and does he have Toon Force abilities? Stay tuned, because we already discussed it. Yes, he does, and so do all of his alien forms. It's pretty ridiculous. So, Ben's Toon Force ability extending to his aliens is actually quite fascinating. Here, Heat Blast is able to turn his body into a spring. In this image, it is shown that Heat Blast can turn his body into a functioning cannon. The cannon actually shoots himself out of it, which is really interesting. Professor Trevenant said, but if it have the DNA, then it come to reason a malfunction could give it all the usable alien the power, since it the face-up icon under the lightning. So you feel that the Omnitrix collected DNA from Zingo, and that by collecting DNA from Zingo, it was able to extend the power across all of the aliens? I mean, it's an interesting idea, but it's something that doesn't have presence within the series. We have seen Ben, for example, when he turned into Blitzwolfer. Also, catch you later, Godzilla Tales. He said he has to go. Also, I've been doing well, Chapatos Chappy. How are you? And thank you for smashing that like button. Truly appreciate it. We've seen Ben when he turned into Blitzwolfer for the first time, or as he was called in the original series, Ben Wolf, go through a series, like a short transformation. but it was like extended throughout the episode, so not a short transformation. But the idea is that Ben was turning into Blitzwolfer over the course of the episode. So you see him grow fur and claws, and things like that, right? So Ben slowly develops the power. Oh, Professor Trevenant's saying it's not that the power went across to all the aliens, but that it went across to the alien that Ben currently had selected when he was hit by the lightning. So that's an interesting concept. So let me go back to the lightning strike. So when Ben was hit by the lightning initially, right, he was holding Zingo in his hand, and he was forearms at the time. So the Omnitrix is on forearms because he is forearms. So I'd say if that theory was how it went, then Ben would have had Toon Force for himself and for forearms, and I don't think it would have extended to his aliens. Now maybe Professor Trevenant is referring to this image of the lightning around Ben's arm, but in this image we can't clearly see the dial to know what it was currently on. Chapantos Chappy asked, is it called the Omnitrix? It's called the Omnitrix, so it's O-M-N-I Trix. Kind of like Ben 10 Omniverse, it's the same, like, suffix for the word. There's also a Unitrix and a Nematrix. Yeah, Omnitrix. That is correct, Chapantos Chappy. So because we can't clearly see an icon on the watch, it's hard to... Oh, you're spelling it correctly. Trix with the X. Yeah, there you go. Kirby spelled it. So there's no way to really confirm, I don't think. Professor Trevenant said, but then he turned the Omnitrix, the lightning in effect, the next alien, not stop virus. Let's see. But then he turned the Omnitrix, the lightning in effect, the next alien, not stop virus. I still feel like it would still go across the whole watch. It does seem like the entire watch is being affected, but it is true that we don't get to see Ben demonstrate Toon Force with any of the other aliens, because in his fight against Zingo he only turns into Heat Blast. Chapantos Chappy says, so is it like the Omni, like Goku when he turned himself to an Omni Saiyan? I don't know enough about Dragon Ball for real. I've fallen behind on the manga and on the anime. Professor Trevenant said, the whole watch not unlocked. Oh, you're saying, like, any forms he hasn't unlocked yet probably wouldn't have Toon Force? I could see that. Because the idea would be maybe the watch is only being affected in its current state. So maybe all of his aliens he currently had Toon Force, but maybe if he gets a new one, it won't have Toon Force. But the idea that Ben himself has Toon Force, maybe that's enough for it to carry over to all the other aliens. Let's see. Scavenger said, would Ben 10 from Omniverse win against Goku or Superman? That's a whole other video. Chapatos Chappy said, when he's Super Saiyan White and he has red stripes on himself, Omni Saiyan. I think I've seen that in a Xenoverse video, like as a mod. But I don't know enough about it lore-wise. Professor Trevenant said, either way, it kind of ruins the Ben 10 character development. Chapatos Chappy said, you get me? You feel me? Professor Trevenant said, he has god powers. I mean, Alien X has god powers, you know, like, it becomes like a slippery slope situation. One thing for people who, like, don't agree with the idea of Ben having these Toon Force abilities, you may feel weird about the idea that Ben not only has Toon Force abilities, but the episode doesn't end in a clear-cut way that states that Ben loses or no longer has access to Toon Force. So one thing that's interesting about that, here's an image of Heat Blast using Toon Force to just pull, like, a flaming car out of thin air, and then he uses it to pull, like, a flaming cruise liner, and then he uses it to pull down a fucking flaming train. You know, Toon Force is ridiculous. Here's an image of Ben forming a giant cloud of himself that spits Zingo into the Grand Canyon. You know, it's pretty incredible. Here's Heat Blast curling himself around and using his elastic, bendy, toony body uh, as like a weird helicopter spring. Professor Trevenant said, yet he had to argue with two heads. Now he can do whatever shit his 10-year-old wants. Grandpa Max, get me a plumber gun. Gotta kill this shit. Oh, speaking of plumbers, that'll be another video. It doesn't seem like Grandpa Max is a plumber in the reboot. I may have missed some episodes, but so far I haven't seen any indication that Grandpa Max is a plumber. And we finally hit the part in the story where in the original series it was a big reveal that was made where Grandpa Max reveals that he's a plumber, but that reveal didn't happen in this. And I'm not saying they couldn't easily make it where Grandpa Max is a plumber, but so far it doesn't seem like he is, and it doesn't seem like he has full awareness of everything that's going on. So I'm actually really interested in seeing if plumbers are just not in the reboot continuity. If you're interested in that being a video topic, feel free to hit me up, especially on the Discord. A matter of fact, if any of you have an idea for another Ben10Tier video, make sure to hit me up on the Discord so that I'm able to like figure out what everyone wants to see and make a video for it. So I'm going to put the Discord link into the chat now real quick, just so that everyone who's watching can hit us up on Discord and just tell me what you think. Like, what would you like to see next? So the way that this video ends, Professor Trevenant said, Rick and Morty. Wow, Professor Trevenant got hype. Actually, I'm caught up on Rick and Morty now, so if you would like to see me do a Rick and Morty video, I've actually seen all of it now that's out so far, so it's possible. It's now an actual option. So this episode ends with Zingo running away from Ben and going back into the television, but it doesn't end with the Omnitrix getting like fixed, or with Ben trying to use Toon Force and failing, or with Ben being like, oh no, I can't do my Toon Force, or maybe my Toon Force is locked away, or, you know, there's no indication that Ben can't use Toon Force. Also, good to see you, Christian Spider, on Discord. Professor Trevenant said, season finale right now, make a stream reaction to Rick and Morty. I'm watching Rick and Morty online through a website that's not an official like Turner Broadcast website. So I watch them on a delay, meaning like if the Rick and Morty season finale was coming on right now, I don't have a television to cut it on, kind of thing. But once it does come out, I could do a video where I talk about the season and how it's been and my thoughts, if you all would be interested in that. But getting back to Ben 10 and Toon Force and everything. Ben 10's Toon Force abilities, there's no sign that he, for some reason, doesn't have them, which makes it where if they wanted to bring it back, because he hasn't demonstrated them since, by the way, like since this episode. If they wanted to bring it back and just say that Ben hasn't been using Toon Force, they could do it at any time. Like, they wrote it in such a way where it just ends and then Ben just doesn't use Toon Force from like then on. And you could argue, well, maybe Ben just lost Toon Force, right? But we don't know, and like no one ever states that Toon Force is gone for any reason. You know what I mean? Professor Trevenant said, but if he keep them, then he is Bugs Bunny. Give the boy a carrot. Got him. Got him. But I think he could easily still have them. Like, it's debatable, because you could say if Ben still has Toon Force powers, why does he never utilize them? But you could go to the Zingo episode in question, and you could argue that Ben wasn't using Toon Force powers against Zingo until Gwen brought to his attention that he was facing off against a foe who didn't follow the normal rules of reality. Gwen also is the one who brings to Ben's attention that Ben had stopped following the normal rules of reality, and that you have to fight fire with fire kind of concept. So if Ben ever faces off against an opponent who seems to just, like, defy reason and just have, like, incredible abilities, I wouldn't be surprised if Ben then used Toon Force again. Like, I don't think we should assume that Ben no longer has Toon Force. Things like this have happened in other shows before. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a popular anime where a form was demonstrated for a few episodes and then wasn't seen for multiple arcs. And then in a very recent arc, the form more or less reappears, where we all believed that the character no longer could achieve said form. If you know what I'm talking about, make sure to smash that like button. But there's no reason to assume that just because you haven't seen a power in a long time, that means that the character is unable to utilize that power. Professor Trevin has said, Ben 10 Transformers, aliens in disguise. But what do you guys think about Ben 10 being able to manipulate reality, like a Looney Tunes character? I mean, essentially giving Reboot Ben 10 Looney Tune powers seems really interesting. Kirby said, "Is the form you were speaking of Super Saiyan God?" Ding 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 ding. Yo, Kirby, you are right on the money. Professor Trevenant said, "Lots of training in Ben case, lots of fiddling with his watch." Facts. But I do have a few other Ben 10 videos that'll be coming out soon that I already have planned. Professor Trevenant said Mystic Gohan was my guess. When both guesses are Dragon Ball Super. Ding 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 ding. When Mystic Gohan is like also a perfectly correct answer and from the same series. I like how my boy Kirby is like, it's not Mystic. He's like, get those fan terms out of here, my boy. Kirby said, haven't seen a single episode of Super. Suck on that. When Kirby's like, I just know these things. Got him. But yo, I have a few other Ben 10 videos that are reboot based because I've noticed there's a lot of hype for Ben 10 recently on YouTube. People are starting to recognize Ben 10 as like a contender for fights, but the Ben 10 that's being used is not the most recent iteration of Ben 10 because people are sleeping on the reboot. Things like Toon Force make Reboot Ben significantly better than how he would be if he didn't have Toon Force. Other videos that I'm going to do revolving around how Reboot Ben is better than he may seem will involve the new upgraded Omnitrix, as well as reboot mode of the Omnitrix. There's an episode that talks about reboot mode. Reboot mode is really interesting, and when you see how reboot mode is achieved and what reboot mode can allow Ben to do, and then you put all these things together, Ben's fire as fuck. So I'll do a whole video thing on that. Professor Trevin has said, to the community, it is do not be a hater. Oh, to the community it is do not be a hater. He's talking about the Mystic Gohan thing. Kirby said, but if he has Toon Force, he will be unkillable. Now, that's an interesting argument. It's shown in the episode that Ben does still feel pain from getting hit by things, but he does get hit by things that should normally kill you. So there are like multiple instances of Ben 10 getting hit in the Zingo episode where you'd be like, did he just get crushed by an actual truck? And, you know, like just straight up and not die? And then did he continue to just keep fighting by crushing his opponent with more ridiculously large things? I think that's exactly what happened. You know, that's the kind of crazy stuff that you see with him with the Toon Force abilities. Professor Trevenant said, that's what I'm saying. The new Ben 10 still sounds bad. I'm really enjoying it personally. I feel like they're taking a lot of interesting directions with the Ben 10 mythos. Being someone who's followed Ben 10 throughout the years, and who was skeptical of the reboot, I'm glad to see them doing things that are different from the series. Professor Trevenant said, remember, this is the series where he almost died giving alien birth. Yo, Professor Trevenant, elaborate. My boy said, remember, this is the series where he almost died giving alien birth. And in my mind, I'm like, when did he give alien birth in this series? I remember him giving birth as Big Chill back in, like, Ultimate Alien, I think. If not Alien Force. I don't remember which series came first on that one. So that's pretty interesting. It looks like the other stream that had the images up is, like, rebooting or something. So let me manage that real quick. Kirby said, did the Toon Force allow crazy shit to happen to Ben? Then did it allow that much crazy to happen from Ben to his opponents? That definitely did happen, because Zingo crushes Ben with a truck, and then Ben comes up and crushes Zingo with, like, a cruise liner, and they, like, continue to go back and forth, crushing each other with bigger and bigger things. So Kirby, is your theory that you're going with currently the idea that, oh, it's not even, like, rebooting, it's just not showing the image? What on earth is going on? So let me get the image back up. Don't know why the Google Hangouts being thirsty for attention. Here we go. Trying to get rid of images. Shame. When you click present to everyone but nothing happens. When you click present to everyone and then the image goes away. Minor technical difficulties, so currently working on that. Don't worry, I'll make sure to hit up the live chat for anything I missed while I'm currently trying to get the stream to cooperate. There we go. Now the image stream is doing better. So Professor Trevenant says, it goes deep, and no kid I know likes this reboot. The flying ice moth from Ultimate Alien or Alien Force. Yeah, Big Chill. Professor Trevenant said, but even the original series had the Ghost Freak episode that could get dark. Oh, most definitely there are some dark episodes in Ben 10, no lie. And I feel like the Ben 10 reboot is slowly starting to get darker. That Omnitricked special got a little bit darker than what the other episodes have been, with the introduction of certain characters. I don't want to spoil the Omnitrix special. That'll be for the upgraded Omnitrix video that I plan on doing in a little bit. Now that the first season of Ben 10 is over, and the second season starts on October 2nd if you're in the UK. So tomorrow. Kirby said a big point from Who Framed Roger Rabbit was you can't kill a Toon except for Dip. Which neither Goku or Superman have access to. I like how Kirby's like, so if he's got the Toon Force, how is Goku or Superman gonna beat him? Now, for one, this video is not Ben 10 versus Goku and Superman. Can Ben 10 whoop that ass with Toon Force? But since the video is, does Ben 10 have Toon Force? And the answer to the question is, he did, at least in this episode, and there's no indication that he shouldn't have it still. Now let's talk about it. So, is there hope for Goku or Superman to be able to beat a Ben 10 with Toon Force? Talking about reboot Ben 10 specifically. Professor Trevenant said Alien X versus Superman. For the sake of this video, I can do Alien X versus Superman in a different video, but for the case of this video, reboot Ben with Toon Force versus Goku or Superman. With him facing Superman, a lot of people would argue that Superman has experience with Mr. Mxyzptlk, who can warp reality, and that Superman is able to face essentially a godlike being in Mr. Mxyzptlk, who can just kind of make whatever he wants just happen. You know, he just says fuck it. So if Superman can handle Mr. Mxyzptlk, why couldn't he handle, like, a Toon Force Ben? Arguments against that would be, well, Mr. Mxyzptlk has an Achilles heel. You know, he has to say his name backwards, and it kind of just has him, you know, just fuck off. And Ben doesn't have, if he says Ben Tennyson backwards, he just fucks off somewhere else button. Professor Trevenant says he tricks him, not beat him. There's a difference. Yep, that's pretty much what I was talking about. Superman has to outsmart Mr. Mxyzptlk in order to get over his reality manipulation bullshit. It's not like Superman's powers are what stop Mr. Mxyzptlk's bullshit. One thing that I don't like in particular is to do a fight matchup where you say who would win this character versus this character without specifying specifics on both. And that can be somewhat difficult. For example, with saying, let's say, reboot Ben with Toon Force, can he beat Superman or Goku? We've made a really specific Ben, but we haven't made a really specific Superman or a really specific Goku. But there needs to be, because you could always argue, what about this Goku? What about this Superman? What about Golden Age Superman, who just doesn't give a fuck about anything? He just does whatever he wants, you know? What about Goku from, like, Xenoverse or something? You know, like, if you're gonna do a fight, you have to say, this character from this series, from this time, versus this character from this series from this time, and have them fight up against each other. It's not fair to say, how would this very specifically defined character do against this non-specifically defined character? Kirby said, Superman as the world generally knows him. Oh, well, that's kind of unfair. So here's why I say that's unfair. It's not unfair for Ben, it's unfair for Superman. Superman as the world generally knows him undermines Superman because most people don't know what Superman's truly capable of. He has those unique, like, nerd feats where if you read the books, you're like, but in this issue, Superman did crazy bullshit. But that's helpful to, like, him in a fight, for you to be able to say he has these crazy feats. Superman as the world generally knows him is essentially just a list of powers, not a list of achievements. You know what I mean? And it's also, like, really arbitrary, because some people know Superman is like, I fly around the planet and I reverse time, like from the movies and shit. The Scavenger said, why the pics no change, lol. I mean, I kind of went through all the pictures, which is why the pics no change. Don't worry, I'll change it to this one, because I think it's one of my favorites from the episode, with Heat Blast, like, jumping around as a spring body. I thought that was a pretty silly, interesting thing. And look at Grandpa Max in the background, like, whoa. Zolek said, yop, Ben10's lit. Superman, I think we would need a more tightly defined Superman and a more tightly defined Goku if we were going to do the argument. So I think what I'll do is, I actually collect a lot of comics from the New 52. So I have most of Superman's New 52 run. I have all of Superboy's New 52 run. Actually every graphic novel from his New 52 run. And I also have the definitive guide of the New 52 for all the New 52 characters. So what I could do is I could use the definitive guide to the DC universe and then use that in order to give us, like, a solid matchup of Superman versus, like, Ben 10. Kirby said the only legitimate fight I can think of with Superman and someone else is still an odd fight, or at least matchup. Professor Trevenant said, no, do not mix movie powers to his better-known comic powers. I agree. Like, you have to pick one setup of feats, unless you do composites. Now, if we did composites, the problem is, I just don't know enough about Superman. If you ask me to do composite Ben 10, I'm still gonna slip, because it requires you remembering, like, what all Ben 10s are capable of, and then putting them together. But I'm not capable of doing composite Superman, because I just don't know everything Superman's capable of to say, well, here's the best Superman with all Superman's greatness versus the best Ben 10 with all Ben 10's greatness. I'm limited to only characters that I have full knowledge of when they have to fight off against each other. And by full knowledge of, I mean at least, like, somewhat equal knowledge. At least if I'm slacking, I'll be slacking on both things. Professor Trevin has said, look, Death Battle already proved twice the argument is invalid. Well, that argument is Goku versus Superman, where what we're currently discussing is, like, Ben from Reboot with Toon Force versus Superman, or Ben from Reboot with Toon Force versus Goku. I think Ben has a certain setup with Toon Force that makes it where him versus Goku could be interesting. You know what I mean? Because we've seen Arale appear in Dragon Ball Super, and she's a gag character, and her gag character bullshit allows her to do things like split the earth in half, and there aren't really any consequences, and she does it with the greatest of ease, or hit Vegeta around the planet, and shit like that. So gag characters have been shown in Dragon Ball Super to be able to do crazy shit. So, Toon Force is like a gag character, just like it goes overboard. It's way beyond just using gags. You know what I mean? Let's see. The Scavenger said Alien X can delete the DC universe and all of the Dragon Ball universes and all the characters from both. Professor Trevenant said, fuck that magic. He can kill any one of his 10 aliens now, even with cartoon powers. Whoa! Professor Trevenant just said that, like, with Ben's Toon Force alone, he could fucking annihilate his own aliens. That's a good fight. That's an interesting fight. Ben loses that fight, by the way. Like, Ben, even with Toon Force, some of Ben's aliens just have bullshit that's beyond Ben. Kirby said Mortal Kombat Scorpion versus Superman because they have one huge ability that is similar. What's that ability, Kirby? You haven't actually said something like after that, and that's a hardcore cliffhanger. Vegeta said, I was in a live stream just now, and there was a homeless man who looks exactly like you, and he talks smart like you. Was a smart homeless Nika Benson. But are you saying reboot Ben versus his aliens, and his aliens don't get Toon Force abilities, but Ben does? Because that's actually a good-ass fight. Let's see. Ben's most powerful alien right now is probably Upgrade in the reboot, not gonna lie. If we don't include aliens from, like, the Omnitrix special, or Season 2 aliens who I don't know anything about, because Season 2 isn't out yet in America. Does Ben just solo everybody? Because it gets to the point where Ben can just make a pencil, right? Out of thin air. He can reach behind his back and grab a fucking pencil. And then he can erase all his aliens? Like, if his aliens were going to fight him one-on-one each? Because I don't know what his aliens could do to him because he has Toon Force. Like, you have a point. Toon Force is pretty great. Kirby said where their powers are drawn from, and they both have no defined limit to how strong they become. So you're talking about Scorpion and Superman. Where does Scorpion get his powers from? Does he actually get his powers from the sun? Like, is it the same as Superman? That'd be really interesting. Vegeta's trying to give that head. Vegeta said, what was that Arby's video about? It was a eulogy / review. I think it's the first of its kind. I'm not sure. Let's see. Scavenger said, I wish Upgrade was still green and black. I do think the green and black Upgrade was fucking great. Vegeta said, why was it on its floor? Well, it's not its floor. The RB Shake doesn't, like, own the floor now. But that's a part of the fact that it was a eulogy. Kirby said Scorpion's power is drawn from the nether realm, and Superman's is drawn from solar radiation. That actually is an interesting fight. I don't want to get too off topic with that one, because I don't know enough about Mortal Kombat. Vegeta says, it was cringy, like the other ones you've been posting. They're all, like, meme videos, like those really short ones. Like, that's the point. They are memes. Vegeta said, you should post those okay cringe compilations. There probably should be a Nika Benson cringe playlist, but I probably don't have to make that. I imagine someone else is gonna make that before I do. Professor Trevenant said, and Superman can lift the earth. Upgrade can't even upgrade the damn internet without Superman's super speed and punch all the major computers in 2 minutes flat. Kirby said, hey Vegeta, have you seen the video? So when talking about upgrading computers, right, and Superman going around the world to just fuck it up, you also mentioned Superman lifting the planet. I got you, my boy. So they revealed in a lore video for Cartoon Network, I shit you not, Upgrade species like, terraformed their planet. So, my boy Kirby said, impressed yet? Yeah, Vegeta, you need to see impressed yet. I've been waiting for your comment on that video. So, the upgrade species actually, like, formed against the ground of their planet and, like, brought up civilizations. Like, it seems like galvanic mechamorphs, which are what the upgrade species is called, are able to upgrade, like, planets. Like, not just technology, but, like, terrain. So, even if Upgrade was by himself, he should be able to, like, attach himself to the ground and turn it into something that he can use, which is insane, because it makes Upgrade really useful. I've also seen Upgrade attach himself to, like, Knight's armor and use, like, he upgraded the Knight's armor into, like, a robot suit that he could control kind of thing. Like, Upgrade could be in an area with no technology and just be like, the planet is my technology. Professor Trevenant said Superman versus Ben10,000 would be a way better fight. I agree that Superman versus Ben10,000 is pretty great. I just feel like it's always easier to use characters who either no longer have more developing lore, so you took them from, like, a certain period of time, and just say, like, within this time period, this is where they're used. I like how Professor Trevenant said the reboot is too green right now. Couldn't we just use the Dragon Ball Super manga if we were going to use Goku, and then we can use New 52 Superman? New 52 Superman is defined by the guidebook, like the official DC encyclopedia that I have. So if we use New 52 Superman, then we have a solid Superman from a certain time that is defined by a definitive guide from the source. Then if we use Manga Goku for Dragon Ball Super, specifically Dragon Ball Super manga, is only like 28 chapters in, so that's pretty green as well. It's easier to do Goku versus Ben 10 Reboot, clearly, from what I just said. Ben 10 Reboot has like 40 episodes, and the Dragon Ball Super manga has only like 28 chapters, so it's just easier. Because there's much less information you have to digest from both sources in order to get a good idea of what the characters are capable of. Professor Trevenant says, it's Superman, his powers are the same in any comic. Professor Trevenant, you should know that just as well as anyone else, that Superman goes through a lot of bullshit over time. In the New 52, they introduced the solar flare, where Superman can release solar radiation from his entire body, not just from his eyes. This allows him to lose a few of his powers, and by doing so, he's able to release a big pulse of energy. He then recovers his powers over time by getting more solar energy, but if he releases a massive solar flare, he is left powerless for 24 hours until he can recover the solar energy over the course of a day. This led into the Superman Truth storyline, of which Superman was depowered for quite a long period of time, not just for 24 hours, but he wasn't completely depowered. He essentially was just like Hercules. But like shit like that happens, Professor Trevenant. Where Superman for a while is just on some bullshit. There's also Superman 1,000,000, who's like actually a god, and he recreates Lois Lane also as a god with powers. You know, like, there's plenty of Superman bullshit from the top of my head to which I can say, if you don't specify which Superman you're talking about, then you can just say whatever you want, because there are so many different Supermen. Vegeta said, you're just talking nonsense like me. It does get to that point. Kirby said there's also the red and blue Superman bullshit. The red and blue Superman bullshit is interesting, but also bullshit. I agree. Professor Trevenant said the Ben 10 game, Ben 10 gains 10 different abilities each start. Let's see, Vegeta said, how about you spin around and show me that big ass of yours? Not at the moment, but you can always tune back to that video where I did the full surround shot of Gerard's face, or you could watch Impressed Yet, which you should watch. Professor Trevenant says Superman New 52 start versus this season 1 Ben 10 is a wash. Damn. In which way, Professor Trevenant? I want to know your opinion. Like, did you just say Ben 10 get the fuck out of here, Superman New 52 stomp that ass? Or are you saying Ben 10 reboot be like, Superman get the fuck out of my way? Because either way, it's a hard statement to say. To just be so like, no, don't worry. He beat the shit out of him. Vegeta said, get him out of here, coach. Kirby said, oh my gosh, yes, why would say such a thing? That Superman from New 52 wins hands down against Ben 10 Reboot Ben. But I think that's in part because I haven't done the other videos I described. Trust. After I do the video that describes how Ben 10's reboot mode works, as well as the video that describes how upgrade can upgrade the Omnitrix and everything, and the implications of both of those things, prepare for some bullshit. I got you. Don't worry. Reboot Ben's on that shit. Reboot Ben's on some crazy bullshit at this point. The scavenger said, Alien X versus Alien X race, who will win? Did you just say Alien X versus his whole fucking race? Did you say Alien X versus everybody else with all the powers? when Alien X doesn't give a fuck, he's like, I'll fight all of them. He's like, I'll fight all of them right now. Yo. But I feel like we're still on topic in terms of Ben 10, but for the topic of this video, we've gotten off topic a little bit. But I just wanted to make sure to emphasize that this is a part of a series of videos. Ben10Tier will be a new setup of videos that I do on the channel, of which I talk about Ben 10 related content. This one was recorded on my laptop, right? And of course the face cam was done on my phone. Future videos will have a weird combination thing where it's kind of like how I do the gaming streams. So it'll show the content on the screen, but then it'll also show my face on the screen. And you'll be able to see my face and the content at the same time. This is because there's actually a Ben 10 Wikia app. And I can pull up Ben 10 Wikia pages and images on my phone and stream that on my phone and have my face in the corner also on the phone. So it'll allow me to look at one chat and stream from one source. Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah. So that'll be one way to make it be a little bit better. Whoa, I love how he's doing that. So the scavenger said Toon Force Accelerate versus Alien X. That's interesting as fuck. I love that as a concept, even though Alien X stomps. And Professor Trevenant said he tried to upgrade in the original, but the little marker locked down the Omnitrix because how dangerous it was, and Grandpa Max was supposed to be the wearer of the Omnitrix. That is true. Grandpa Max was supposed to be the original wielder of the Omnitrix, at least in the OG series and the reboot. I don't fucking know. The reboot has very interestingly just kind of tiptoed around the origin. You know, we haven't had, I don't think, I may have missed it, there are 40 episodes of the reboot, and unlike the original series that I watched religiously on television, I'm just catching this one like online on websites where I can find it kind of thing. So I haven't sat down and watched it all in order from start to finish yet. I've skipped around. So as far as I know, there's a reboot origin episode and I've just missed it. But so far, they've just kind of tiptoed around it, so it's hard to tell how close it is to the OG series. But I feel like it's hella far. But Toon Force Accelerate versus Alien X, make sure that you post that in the Discord, and I might make a video about it. But here's the long and short of that. Toon Force Accelerate may have like crazy reality warping abilities, and Alien X may have crazy reality warping abilities. The difference is, Alien X's is literally thought-based. My boy thinks Accelerate doesn't exist, and then he doesn't. You know, like, it's too much of a slam. It's not that they don't both have reality manipulation, but Alien X reality manipulation is above Toon Force. I know that Toon Force is dumb, and that if Accelerate wanted to, He could pull a pencil from behind his back, and he could speed blitz Alien X and erase Alien X literally with a giant pencil, right? But that would require Accelerate to do shit faster than Alien X can think. And I know Accelerate is fast, but he's not fucking around with... Alien X has survived too much bullshit. Like, point blank universe destruction doesn't give a fuck. That's what Alien X does. Professor Trevenant said the continuity was such a big part. And like I said, why it fails for kids, there's no intrigue right now. It needs to take from the original. Well, I like what it does take from the original and from the series that come after it, because it's borrowing elements from the series as a whole, and it really is giving an homage feel. It feels like the creators have looked back at their own content and said, what did we like? What did we not like? How can we reintroduce these concepts in a new and fresh way to make stories that have like an extra layer of depth? The Scavenger said Toon Force Jet Ray versus Alien X. Why do you think that if the alien is faster, that they can just speed blitz Alien X and Alien X just gets dicked on? It's like, because Alien X, now the argument is more, is Jet Ray faster than the speed of thought? And we know that Jet Ray is fast enough to go in hyperspeed and supposedly can go faster in water, but I will argue that we don't have like an approved feat of that, so we're gonna say he can go hyperspeed. He can enter hyperspace. Professor Trevenant said, I'm done, this show sucks. Jet Ray going like hyperspeed, right, to where he can catch up with a spaceship that's already flying through space, is pretty fucking fast. And Alien X, I don't know, I guess you would have to have going hyperspeed faster than thought. I don't know how fast a thought is. like that's the thing. Because if all you have to do to dick on Alien X is literally just have an eraser, like a big-ass cartoon eraser, and then go faster than Alien X can think to erase him, then that would be game. That would actually be game. So it's debatable. The Scavenger said, if Flash can run faster than the universe expanding, could Flash beat Alien X? No? What? Here's why I would say that Flash doesn't get like a free I beat Alien X card because he's fast. The Flash has a lot of bullshit powers. The Flash is great. I actually met a writer of the Flash, and he gave me his book. I still need to read this Flash book that he gave me. It's been sitting on my desk for a minute. He also handed me a copy of The Leg, which is another book by him. I read The Leg the same day. The Leg is so fucking great if you haven't read The Leg yet. He told me, he said, hey, you didn't know I worked on Flash, here's my Flash book. He said, also, check out The Leg, it's kind of weird. And I opened The Leg immediately. It was fucking amazing. So, you know, the Flash has a lot of incredible abilities, and I will say that, like, the Flash is no one to sleep on. But it's not the same. It's not the same as a reality warping god. And I know that the Flash could do, like, pretty much everything before Alien X could think. I am very positive that the Flash is faster than Alien X's capability of thinking. But that still isn't enough. What does the Flash do with his time? What does he do with his speed that, like, gets rid of Alien X, is my question. Does he go back in time and somehow beat Alien X that way? Does he try to trap Alien X in the Speed Force? Does he try to do an infinite mass punch? Would an infinite mass punch even phase Alien X? You know, like, there's just so much we don't know for that fight, to where I'm still like, eh. And it's another one of those arguments where it's like, well, how fast not how fast is, but like which version of the Flash are we gonna use? Like for the sake of the argument. Because if it's like the television show, I'm behind. If it's the 90s television show, I watched all of it, but it's been so long. If it's the Justice League cartoon, I don't know how many really good feats the Flash has from the Justice League cartoon. I know he has at least a couple, but it's also been a long time since I've seen that. If you're going from like the Rebirth run, I'm behind on that because I only read the first arc, because the first arc was so good I couldn't bear the idea that it might get worse. Because I mean, like, I loved it. I loved the first arc so much, and the second arc just didn't look as interesting. So the Scavenger said Wally West from Infinite Crisis. I'm not as familiar with Infinite Crisis. The DC Comics, like, area where, like, I'm that dude, where, like, you can ask me, like, a good series of questions, I should be able to answer a good amount of them, and if I can't, I'll go and I'll read that shit, is New 52. The New 52 is when I, like, legitimately got into comics, and for a while I, like, knew New 52 shit. I was on it. Like, that's my period. And then Superman, prior to New 52 and up to New 52, I know a good amount, because I own a Superman encyclopedia, and I literally have read that entire book. Like, and it covered, like, Superman up to New 52, and then I have the definitive guide of the New 52, so then I've read the Superman entry for that. So then I also have a New 52 Superman encyclopedic knowledge. The Scavenger said Wally West is the fastest and strongest version of the Flash. Period, even now. I mean, I know, like, around the New 52, our Flash could use white lightning to make other things faster, and that made Wally West really broken, because it allowed him to, like, do things that the Flash always kind of did but didn't make sense. Like, the concept of the Flash taking a shower really quickly doesn't make sense without white lightning, because the water still has to take time to fall out of the shower head to hit your body. So it doesn't matter how fast you are if you still have to wait for the water, but White Lightning Flash can speed the water up too. So it allows him to do things quickly because he can make the process itself fast as well as himself. And I thought that was, like, brilliant, because the application for that is really great. But the idea that that's the best is really cool. The Scavenger said Wally can steal momentum from any object or thing. I'm aware. I know about Wally being able to increase his speed by essentially stealing speed from other things. And I remember, isn't there a feat where Wally beats teleportation by absorbing the kinetic energy from the Earth, which I'm surprised wouldn't make the Earth, like, freeze or whatever? Because the thing that keeps molecules in certain states of magic, that's not states of magic, certain states of matter, involves, like, the movement of molecules, and when the molecules don't move at all, like when you remove all the kinetic energy, they essentially become solid. And it also has to do with temperature, because temperature also has to do with molecule movement. So shouldn't everything on the Earth have become solid and instantly cold and, like, killed things? Or maybe it happened for such a short amount of time it didn't matter. But essentially he can spirit bomb his speed. He can just pull in the speed into himself and just be that boy. When you go, universe, give me your speed, and he sticks his legs into the air, kind of thing. But anyways, while I would like to talk more about, like, who would win battles and stuff, and definitely that stuff is coming with Ben10Tier videos to come, I do have to start getting ready for bed. I have class tomorrow morning at around 8 a.m. I have breakfast at 6:30 a.m. I still need to exercise for the night, and it's like 15 minutes to midnight. So thank you all for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like this video. Favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding, ring that bell so you'll be notified whenever we do these live streams. If you're already subscribed, make sure to share this video with a friend. We love having new people join the channel and to hashtag join the conversation. Thank you all once again. The Scavenger said, okay, see you, my dude. Oh, catch you later, Scavenger. Well, thank you all once again for watching. I truly appreciate it. And if you would like to support us in any way other than just clicking ads or by sharing the video with your friends, then feel free to hit us up on Patreon at patreon.com/NickAbenson. Thank you all once again and have a wonderful day. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jeb Black, the one and only, logging out. Peace. When you just like stab your